What makes a war movie truly unforgettable? Is it the thunder of action, the courage under pressure, or that single look that tells you everything about sacrifice? Few stars ever embodied all that quite like John Wayne. He didn't just play soldiers, he became the idea of one. Across decades, the Duke fought every battle Hollywood could stage from the Pacific to the Alamo. But among them all 12 stand tall, some famous, some forgotten, and one that defined his legend forever. Number 12. Reunion in France, 1942. Before John Wayne stormed the beaches or led troops across the Pacific, he took on a very different kind of fight, one set in occupied France. Reunion in France pairs him with Joan Crawford in a tense wartime drama that blends danger with unexpected romance. Crawford plays a proud Parisian socialite whose world collapses when the Nazis seize her city. Enter Wayne as Pat Talbot, a downed American pilot hiding behind enemy lines. It's an unusual Wayne performance, no swaggering commander here, but a man relying on quick wits and sheer nerve. Filmed in the middle of World War II, this movie captured the uncertainty of the era. America had just entered the conflict and audiences were still figuring out what courage looked like on screen. Crawford and Wayne's chemistry is sharp and fiery, the kind that turns dialogue into sparring. Critics at the time were divided. Some wanted explosions, not emotions, but the film aged surprisingly well. Today it plays like a snapshot of Hollywood's early wartime storytelling where patriotism was subtle and personal. And here's the kicker, even though Wayne's role is smaller than you'd expect, he leaves a mark. His presence gives the film a sense of grit that balances Crawford's glamour. It's one of those hidden gems that reminds you, before the larger-than-life hero, there was a man learning what bravery really meant. Number 11. Back to Bataan, 1945. If Reunion in France hinted at what was coming, Back to Bataan delivered it full force. Released just as World War II was ending, this film hit theaters when victory was still fresh and grief even fresher. Wayne plays Colonel Joseph Madden, a determined leader organizing resistance fighters in the Philippines after enemy forces overrun the islands. It's a mix of grit, tension, and urgency. The film was shot while the war was still raging, and that gives it a raw edge no set could fake. You can almost feel the sweat, the dust, and the fear of the unknown. Wayne's character is the steady hand in chaos, uncompromising but human. His partnership with Anthony Quinn adds emotional weight. Quinn plays a local hero driven by loss and loyalty. Their bond turns the film from standard propaganda into something closer to a survival story. Director Edward Dmytryk balances action with reflection, showing not just the fight, but the cost. The battle scenes are tightly choreographed, and Wayne's calm command anchors them all. Some modern viewers may find the portrayals dated, but that was the lens of the 1940s, and within that frame, it works. In the end, Back to Bataan stands as a time capsule. Patriotic, yes, but also respectful of the human toll. It marked Wayne's full transformation from matinee cowboy to America's on-screen guardian, and after this, there was no turning back. Number 10. Flying Tigers, 1942. This one's the film that officially turned John Wayne into a war movie icon. Flying Tigers soars with daring aerial battles and the kind of camaraderie only found among pilots facing impossible odds. Wayne plays Jim Gordon, the head of a volunteer squadron defending China before America formally entered the war. Filmed with remarkable precision. For its time, it uses miniature effects, fast editing, and real aircraft footage to deliver thrilling dogfights that still impress today. For audiences in 1942, it wasn't just entertainment, it was inspiration. America had just been thrust into war, and Wayne became a symbol of steady courage. Behind the camera, Republic Pictures poured its heart into this production, and the result earned 3 Oscar nominations. Wayne's leadership feels authentic. He balances stern discipline with moments of warmth that make the unit feel like a real family. The dialogue snaps with energy, and his screen presence dominates every frame without overpowering the story. Critics later called it propaganda, but that misses the point. It's a movie made in the heat of history, and its purpose was to rally morale, something it did spectacularly well. Watching it now, you can sense the sincerity that drives it. The flying sequences are crisp, the stakes real, and Wayne's performance the perfect blend of command and compassion. Flying Tigers may not be his most complex film, but it's the one that lit the fuse on everything that followed. Number 9. The Wings of Eagles, 1957. By the late 1950s, Wayne had played nearly every kind of soldier imaginable, but The Wings of Eagles offered something rare: vulnerability. Directed by his longtime collaborator John Ford, it tells the true story of Navy pilot Frank W. Weed, whose life takes a turn after a tragic accident leaves him unable to fly. Instead of surrendering, Weed finds a new way to serve by writing stories that inspire others. Wayne's portrayal of this man's journey from the sky to the typewriter is surprisingly moving. He captures the frustration, pride, and resilience of a hero forced to reinvent himself. The film mixes humor and heartache, a trademark of Ford's style. It's less about battles and more about recovery, a war fought within. Wayne's chemistry with Maureen O'Hara, playing Weed's wife, adds emotional realism, while Dan Daly provides a perfect counterbalance as the loyal friend who never gives up on him. Audiences expecting gunfire were caught off guard, but critics admired its honesty. Wayne's performance is layered: a man tough enough to face the sky, but brave enough to admit weakness. The Wings of Eagles stands as a love letter to perseverance and creativity under pressure. It reminds us that strength isn't always about force. Sometimes it's about finding purpose when life rewrites your mission. In Wayne's career, it proved he could do more than rally troops. He could make us believe in the quiet kind of courage. Number 8. The Fighting Seabees, 1944. Now here's a film that bridges action and ingenuity. The Fighting Seabees dramatizes the creation of one of the most unique units of World War II, the construction battalions that built bases under fire. Wayne plays Wedge Donovan, a no-nonsense engineer whose civilian crew keeps getting caught in the crossfire. Frustrated, he pushes for the creation of a group that can both build and defend, the birth of the Seabees. What makes this film stand out is its authenticity. Released while the war was still underway, it's both propaganda and portrait highlighting ordinary workers who became heroes. Wayne gives one of his most dynamic performances, equal parts fiery leader and moral anchor. His character isn't flawless. He's impatient, stubborn, even reckless. But that complexity makes the movie compelling. When tragedy strikes, Donovan's transformation from self-centered foreman to selfless leader feels earned. Directed by Edward Ludwig and backed by actual Navy cooperation, The Fighting Seabees delivers impressive battle construction sequences, practical effects, and the kind of rousing musical score that could lift any wartime spirit. It even gave us the Seabees' real motto, "Can Do." For Wayne, it was more than a role. It cemented his image as Hollywood's symbol of determination. And decades later, it still works as a reminder that courage isn't just on the front line, it's also in the hands that build the road there. Number 7. Operation Pacific, 1951. Submarines, Loyalty, and Sacrifice. Operation Pacific dives deep into all three. Directed by George Wagner, this Navy drama places Wayne as Lieutenant Commander Duke Gifford, the executive officer of a U.S. submarine crew navigating peril and heartbreak beneath the waves. What makes this movie special isn't just its setting, it's the chemistry. Wayne stars alongside his real-life friend Ward Bond, who plays the captain, and their bond brings authenticity to every tense exchange. Add Patricia Neal as the love interest, and you've got a war film that balances steel and sentiment. The film opens with one of the era's most gripping underwater sequences. Depth charges, damaged engines, and quiet courage, it's all there. Wagner makes great use of tight submarine interiors, turning every shadow into suspense. Unlike some overly polished war films of the 50s, Operation Pacific isn't afraid to show fatigue, fear, and the cost of command. Wayne's character wrestles with more than torpedoes. He's torn between duty and his fading romance. That internal conflict adds depth to the action. By the time the crew faces their final mission, the stakes feel real. Released when memories of World War II were still fresh, the film connected with veterans and families alike. Critics called it an old-fashioned salute done right. Today, it still feels authentic, not because of special effects, but because of Wayne's grounded humanity. If you ever wondered how the Duke would handle claustrophobic tension instead of open plains, Operation Pacific is your answer. It's tight, it's sincere, and it proves that courage doesn't need daylight to shine. Number 6. Flying Leathernecks, 1951. If there's one thing John Wayne knew how to play better than anyone, it was command under pressure. In Flying Leathernecks, he's Major Dan Kirby, a Marine aviator who pushes his squadron to their limits during the Pacific Campaign. His second-in-command, Captain Carl Griffin, played by Robert Ryan, believes leadership should come from empathy, not intimidation, and their clashing styles create the heartbeat of the film. Produced by Howard Hughes and directed by Nicholas Ray, the movie features real fighter footage spliced into dramatic sequences that still pack power. At its core, it's not just about war, it's about how different kinds of men respond to crisis. Wayne's Major Kirby is strict to the point of breaking his men, but his reasons are brutally practical. Only the toughest survive. Ryan's character embodies compassion, creating a conflict that feels timeless, the eternal tug between heart and discipline. Unlike many of Wayne's more flag-waving roles, Flying Leathernecks shows him as a flawed leader. His frustration, guilt, and eventual growth add unexpected depth. The air combat scenes, filmed with genuine aircraft, add realism that few movies of that decade could match. Critics were divided at release, but audiences loved it, and that says everything. People weren't watching for politics. They came for resolve, teamwork, and raw nerve. In hindsight, Flying Leathernecks stands as one of Wayne's most psychologically interesting roles. He's not the unshakable hero here, he's a man learning that command means carrying every loss in silence. And that perhaps is his most human portrayal of all. Number 5. In Harm's Way, 1965, big cast, bigger ambition. In Harm's Way is John Wayne's late-career war epic, and it's loaded with drama both on and off the battlefield. Directed by Otto Preminger, the film drops viewers into the aftermath of the Pearl Harbor attack, following Captain Rockwell Torrey as he tries to redeem his reputation and rebuild a fractured Navy fleet. Wayne plays Torrey with a controlled intensity that only comes from decades of screen experience. He's stoic but deeply wounded, a man who's seen too much to be reckless, yet refuses to stand aside. The supporting cast is stacked. Kirk Douglas, Henry Fonda, Patricia Neal, and Tom Tryon all deliver layered performances that make this more than just spectacle. The film's tone shifts between sweeping battle sequences and emotional introspection. Preminger doesn't glorify conflict. He lets it wear on his characters like a slow burn. Wayne, by this point, had perfected that weariness, the eyes that say more than the dialogue ever could. The recreation of the Pearl Harbor attack remains powerful even today, with impressive effects for its time. But what lingers is the emotional weight, fathers and sons' loyalty and regret choices made under impossible pressure. At nearly 3 hours long, In Harm's Way takes its time, and it earns it. It's not just another heroic story, it's about the cost of leadership and the quiet devastation that follows victory. If Flying Leathernecks showed Wayne wrestling with command, In Harm's Way showed what it cost to live with those decisions. It's grand, tragic, and unmistakably Wayne at his most mature. Number 4. The Alamo, 1960. Some films are made for success. The Alamo was made for legacy. This wasn't just another role for John Wayne, it was his life's obsession. He directed it, produced it, and even mortgaged his home to get it made. 14 years of effort and a $12 million budget. Later, it became one of the most ambitious epics ever attempted. Wayne plays Davy Crockett, the frontiersman-turned-fighter who joins a small band of Texans defending a mission fortress against overwhelming odds. But beyond the cannons and banners, the story is about conviction, standing for something when there's no guarantee you'll win. The film's second half explodes with intensity, capturing both the chaos and the dignity of the Alamo's defenders. Wayne's Crockett isn't just a folk hero, he's the soul of stubborn hope. Critics were sharply divided. Some called it jingoistic. Others saw it as deeply patriotic. But time has been kind to the Alamo. Strip away the politics, and what remains is a filmmaker pouring his identity onto celluloid. Every frame feels handcrafted, from the sweeping Texan vistas to the candlelit moments of silence before the final stand. It earned 7 Oscar nominations, including Best Picture. For Wayne, this wasn't just cinema, it was a statement. His line, "This picture is America," wasn't a slogan. It was a confession. And whether you agree with that sentiment or not, you can't deny the sheer conviction it took to make it. The Alamo is more than a movie, it's a monument. Number 3. The Longest Day, 1962. If The Alamo was personal, The Longest Day was monumental. This sprawling D-Day epic isn't just one of Wayne's best, it's one of the most ambitious war movies ever made. Directed by multiple filmmakers, including Ken Anakin and Darryl F. Zanuck, it tells the story of June 6, 1944 from both sides of the invasion. Wayne plays Lieutenant Colonel Benjamin Vandervoort, commanding paratroopers in the early hours of the assault. He's part of an enormous ensemble that includes Henry Fonda, Richard Burton, Sean Connery, and Robert Mitchum. Despite the limited screen time, Wayne stands out. His presence steadies the chaos. Shot in stunning black and white, the film mixes documentary-style realism with emotional storytelling. It's not propaganda, it's perspective. Every side, every soldier, every decision counts. Wayne reportedly didn't want to take the part at first, but when he did, he brought the gravitas only he could. His brief moments carry emotional weight. Even a glance or a command lands with authority. At the box office, The Longest Day was a global success and earned 5 Oscar nominations, including Best Picture. Its legacy endures not just as spectacle, but as an act of remembrance. And here's the thing. Among dozens of stars, Wayne doesn't try to steal the spotlight. He just is. Calm, confident, immovable, the very image of leadership amid uncertainty. In a movie packed with heroes, he remains the one who feels real. It's proof that sometimes the loudest presence doesn't need the most lines, just the right ones. Number 2. They Were Expendable, 1945. Every John Wayne fan knows his westerns, but They Were Expendable proves his dramatic power came from something deeper than swagger. Directed by John Ford, this somber World War II tale follows the men of a small torpedo boat unit fighting against impossible odds in the Philippines. Wayne plays Lieutenant Rusty Ryan, second in command to Robert Montgomery's Commander Brickley. Together, they lead a small fleet of PT boats as the enemy closes in. Unlike the patriotic gloss of many war pictures at the time, this one doesn't sugarcoat anything. It's gritty, slow, and heartbreakingly real. Ford, himself a Navy veteran, shoots the film with haunting restraint. The ocean feels endless, the silence before battle unbearable. Wayne delivers one of his most understated performances, showing quiet pride and grief instead of bravado. There's a funeral scene midway through that many critics still call the most emotional moment of his career, Wayne standing at attention voice, cracking as he recites a line of poetry for a fallen comrade. Released just months after the war's end, They Were Expendable wasn't about victory, it was about endurance. It honors those who fought, knowing they might not make it home. The title says it all, and the film never lets you forget what that means. Critics and historians later hailed it as one of Ford's masterpieces, and Wayne's subtle performance as one of his finest. No fiery speeches, no hero music, just duty loss and humanity. If Sands of Iwo Jima made Wayne a war icon, They Were Expendable made him immortal. It's the kind of film that doesn't need to tell you it's powerful. You feel it. Number 1. Sands of Iwo Jima, 1949. And now the film that defined the Duke's entire war legacy. Sands of Iwo Jima isn't just a great movie, it's a benchmark. Released in 1949, it earned John Wayne his first Academy Award nomination for Best Actor and forever etched his name in military film history. Here he plays Sergeant John Stryker, a hardened Marine tasked with training a group of fresh recruits for one of the toughest battles of the Pacific Campaign. Stryker is strict, unrelenting, and seemingly cold, but beneath that armor lies a man driven by duty, haunted by loss, and desperate to prepare his men for what's coming. Director Alan Dwan crafts every moment with emotional precision. The training scenes are tense but human, filled with friction between Stryker and his men. The battle sequences, filmed using actual footage from Iwo Jima, give the movie a realism that stunned audiences at the time. What truly elevates the film, though, is its balance. It doesn't glorify war, but it doesn't shy away from courage either. Wayne delivers one of the most layered performances of his career. You see the exhaustion in his face, the quiet sadness in his eyes, the fatherly pride when his men finally prove themselves. The final scene remains one of cinema's most haunting moments. Without revealing too much, it's both heartbreaking and strangely uplifting, a salute to those who gave everything. For Wayne, Sands of Iwo Jima wasn't just another role. It was a statement on what he believed courage looked like. Not loud, not reckless, but steady, faithful, and unbreakable. Decades later, it still stands as the ultimate John Wayne war film, powerful, personal, and unforgettable. So what made John Wayne's war films endure? Maybe it wasn't just the uniforms or the battles, maybe it was the conviction. Every salute, every word, every quiet stare carried a kind of truth you can't fake. He didn't just act courage, he embodied it. But now it's your turn. Which John Wayne war movie do you think holds up best today? Drop your pick in the comments, share this with a fellow film buff, and keep the legend alive.